Your optional could be your kingmaker. And when you choose mathematics as your optional subject, well, you can definitely score high. Well, welcome to Vajiram Ravi. This is Pooja Singh, and we are back with another amazing session. And what we are going to discuss today, why you should choose mathematics as your optional subject. I'm sure you must have calculated all the pros and cons of choosing mathematics as your optional subject. And don't you worry, we got you covered because we have our esteemed faculty with us today. Bhavna Khurana ma'am. She has done her master's from IIT Delhi and she holds 22 years of teaching experience. So don't you worry, she'll be answering all of your questions and you'll be able to make a confident and informed choice of your optional subject. So not taking much of your time, I would like to call ma'am in the frame.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And I'm Bhavna Khurana. I'm going to answer all your queries about mathematics optional. Before we begin, I could give you a rough view of what maths syllabus looks like and a few queries like why you should take maths, what should be our background for taking maths, etc., etc. And then I'll take up the queries to you. So number one thing that you have to remember if you're trying to take maths as your optional is that you must have a passion for the subject. And by passion, I don't mean that you should be good at school level maths, which is up to class 10th. Bare minimum class 11th, 12th, you've had to have maths. And in your graduation, whether it's an engineering background or BA honors or BA or BSc, you should have had some amount of maths that you've done in college. It gives us sort of a continuation to the subject. Maths is not all about just calculations. There's a lot of conceptual clarity that is required, which, by the way, in our classes, we're going to start from level 0 and take it up. However, because it is a competition exam, you're not here to learn maths, you're here to learn maths and do well in the exam. That's why the bare necessity is that you must have maths as your subject in college. At least one or two papers you must have studied. Having said that, after that, you have to have a passion for the subject because this subject will require a lot of dedication from your end. When we do questions in the class, similar questions are expected to be done at home as homework, as tutorials. And of course, each question is different from another, but there is something called categorization that we focus on in my classes. So we try to make types. So if there is a type 1 of questions, we label it. We have recognizing points that this is basically, say if I'm talking about differential equations, then it is something which is, say, variable separable, or what are the characteristics of recognizing that this is type 1. Then we learn the procedural nuances, and then we understand what the applications of this could look like. So if you try and categorize the questions like that, then about 90% of the questions in every topic can be covered in a very fixed sort of a manner. Remaining 10%, we look at them as either miscellaneous or as exceptions and then take it forward from there. Now, talking a bit about what the syllabus looks like, as you all know, there is paper 1 and paper 2. Both carry 250 marks. The paper is made for 400 marks. That means there are 8 questions of 50 marks each, out of which you have to select any 5. When we say any 5, there is a section A in a paper and section B. Both the papers have the same format. Total of 5 questions have to be done. Question number 1 here is compulsory. Then it has question number 2, 3, and 4. Question number 5 in section B is also compulsory. Question number 6, 7, and 8. So out of these 6 questions, any 3 have to be attempted, but by making sure that at least 1 question from each section is to be attempted. That means you can't do these 3 questions. You can do 1 from here and 2 from here, or vice versa, and total of 5 questions have to be attempted in the exam. Okay, so 250 marks, this is the structure of the paper. Paper 2 is also identical, and this is the structure of the paper. The detailed syllabus, you can check the website for the detailed version of it, but I'll very briefly tell you that paper 1, section A comprises of linear algebra, which is advanced algebra together with basics of matrices. So this is matrices and vector spaces. This is what the syllabus covers. This is the first topic. Second is calculus. Calculus is a wide word for a lot of topics that got covered here. So there is limits, there's continuity, there's differentiability, there is double integration, there's triple integration. There is also a bit of overlap with real analysis. So there is a lot of overlap between calculus and real analysis. Then there is geometry. This is what section A looks like. And so these three topics in section A. Section B has ordinary differential equations, vector calculus, and the last unit is the physics module, which covers mechanics and statics. Paper 2 similarly has a section A which begins with modern algebra, which is a name which is commonly used for the two topics that are covered here, groups and rings. Then it has real analysis. Okay, it has complex analysis and linear programming, that's LPP. Section B, on the same lines as this paper, is partial differential equations. Then there is numerical analysis and computer programming, followed by physics, which covers, again, it covers fluid dynamics and statics. So the physics portion are the last topic of both the section Bs, starting with differential equation here. This covers algebra, linear algebra. This covers modern, which is groups and rings. And calculus and real analysis, by the way, are just one same topic. It's got bifurcated into two just to make the balance of the paper. So, and of course, this one has geometry extra, and this has complex analysis is more of an applied paper, and LPP is thoroughly applied. It has no theorems or nothing. It is only applications that are there. So this is roughly what the syllabus looks like. And coming to how we are going to what is it expected out of you? Like I said, that first and foremost, you must have had some sort of maths. But having said that, I'm not expecting you to know. Actually, I'm expecting you to just know the basics, which are basically school level. It's not even college level. So the basics that I need you to cover before my classes are matrices and determinants, then basic calculus, comprising of differentiation, integration. Maybe you can do some amount of, there is still time for the classes to begin, so you can utilize this time to revise all these basics, because these are tools that are required. Okay, so we don't, so exam does not have a question directly on, say, differentiation, but differentiation acts like a tool that helps us to do a lot of questions in the exam. All right, so that's why you need to be thorough with them. You may have a formula sheet ready, and that formula sheet can be like an ongoing process. So when I start with my classes, I am going to do things from the basics. Some of the things that you must have done, say, in matrices or something, we want to revisit them. But then, so you can do the addition over it. But these are the basic requirements that are required. So the classes will be from 7:30 to 10:30. This will be 6 days a week. And the duration is 7 months, which is 30 weeks. This is the time that it takes me to start from scratch till your exam level. See, a lot of the batches are obviously heterogeneous. So there is someone who's from an engineering background, and he's okay with some applications in, say, differential equations or maybe vector calculus. But he or she is not very thorough with the basics, fine nuances of writing down the theorems. On the other hand, I may have students coming from honors background who are okay with writing theorems, but they're not very good at applications. So we are going to not take anything for granted. In every topic, there is a review that happens, a review sheet, a review discussion. What are the things that you're supposed to know before that topic begins, till what the PYQs demand us from. And sometimes in some topics, we also go a little bit futuristic, what is expected in the exam. Because sometimes from here and there, it's not everything can be written in a syllabus kind of a form when you're doing preparing for a competition exam, So what are the other areas that the examiner could touch upon is also a discussion that we have in the class, right? So that is how it will be, and this has to be followed regularly, religiously. It's like a training program. See, my foundation class is a training program. So when I teach you something, you are supposed to go back home, revise whatever I give. So there'll be handwritten notes given to you for all topics. In one or two topics, I prescribe some books, but you don't have to buy any books as such, because all the hand holding in terms of what are the tutorial sheets, what should be the questions like, practice sessions, the PYQs, everything will be sort of told to you as to what is the approach, when should you be able to do PYQs, when should you be able to, so first, some topics I say 2-3 days, don't even open the PYQs, because directly when I start a topic, you can't cover. But there are some topics in which today, whatever I teach, you go back home, you will find 80% of those kind of questions coming in the previous year question papers also. So like that, depending on topic to topic, I'll be able to help you with the hand holding of how you should do it and so on and so forth. And so hope to take it forward from there. Also, once a week, we'll have a dedicated class only for doubts. And these doubts will be from the tutorial sheets that are given to you, assignment sheets are given to you. So that has to be done every day. Like I said, it's like a training program. So I'm expecting you to attend a 2.5 hour to 3 hour kind of a class, and then go back home and put the same amount of effort at home, so that there's a continuation that is maintained. And so that is how in 7 months we'll be able to go from scratch till whatever exam level we require, whatever is desired by this exam. All right. So I think that's the review, or what I wanted to explain about this. I can now take up doubts. Okay. Let me answer one by one. The classes will happen in Delhi in an offline manner, but it's also available online. So offline or online, one thing I would definitely urge you to remember is that if you're joining maths, then you have to be, it requires a lot of dedication. So if you're attending online, you would have to be there, open your sort of cameras, interact, because a lot of interaction only helps you to get connected with the subject. Only then will I be able to get the feel of how much you're understanding, how much more is required. So that live interaction will always happen. So even if it is online, there is this chat that happens continuously. So if you're attending online, you can definitely be in touch. All right. Okay, so let me talk about what Suman is asking me now. Suman is asking about scaling. Suman, honestly speaking, there is no transparency about what happens while the exam papers are checked. But I can definitely vouch for this, that if there is something called scaling, and however it happens for everybody in a homogeneous sort of a manner. I would urge you to look at getting the highest score possible. 375 in maths, 300 plus in maths is very, very easily achievable. If you try and get a 300, then no matter what is the scaling proportion, no matter what happens, it will make sure that you're treading towards clearing the exam. Because in the optional, so I hope everyone does realize that there is GS and there is optional. So when this is called general studies, this should actually be called your specialization. So whatever your specialization is in, and it also carries 500 marks. So if you really do well in your optional, and by well I mean you can target 300 plus, then independent of what the scaling is or whatever, you're going to make through, most likely. Hoping that your GS is kind of average at least, So yes, Ashish, I'm the one who will be covering your entire syllabus. For physics, one of my colleagues would be helping me out, but it'll be even physics will be done under my supervision. I'll be taking all the 11 topics of your maths for sure, and physics will have someone else. Yes, Umakant. So that's a very important question, and that's something that we really talk about even in the classes. That how to in the given space. So you all know that there is limited space given to you, and in maths you're used to if you're doing something and it suppose goes wrong, then maybe take another sheet. But here we don't have that option. So how to structure your answer before writing it so that you can do the maximum space utilization and you can write the correct thing that is expected from you. So the examiner is not looking for really the just the calculations, he's looking for the concept behind it also. So what is, how is it important, how to frame, how to write things in steps. So I will be teaching you all this through two modes. One is the notes that I'll give. The booklets that you get will have so roughly 200 pages for each topic. Take or, I mean, give or take more, 10, 15, 20 pages here and there. But those booklets have a fixed format. You know, you can refer to, and they're not copied from any book. So they are those handwritten, how a student would write, how I would write in an exam. So that format is given. Together with this, when we're working in the class, when I make you do some questions, again, I urge you to write in steps. I ask you what should the first step be, and then we try and write down only in steps. So this gives you a very good practice. Apart from this, in the curriculum, in the foundation course, there'll be 1 or 2 class tests that will happen, which will be checked and returned with the feedback. So you'll have a good idea as to how the presentation, but presentation makes all the difference. So I would say this is a very important point that he's touched upon, because it's not just the applications, it's not just getting the answer, it's about presenting, right? So you have to be very careful about that. Okay, let me take up Durgesh's doubt now. Ma'am, can you explain more about paper 2, like how it's different from paper 1? Okay. So paper 1 and paper 2 are not really very different from each other. I'll tell you why. Because so coming to this first topic says linear algebra. This one says modern algebra. Of course, there is an overlap. You see that? There is a common word called algebra under which 3 topics are studied. Now, when I say linear algebra, generally students say, oh, matrices, linear algebra is easier. Well, when you look at algebra and when you look at vector spaces, there is a lot of overlap between this and groups and rings. The theorems in both these topics are pretty identical. And in fact, if you notice, if you look at the past year papers, last 4-5 years, they're asking a lot of theorems from vector spaces. So this has also become theoretical. 60% application, 40% theorems, roughly. Of course, it can keep fluctuating and changing. But these 40% theorems, it's not like theorems have to be taught differently, applications are different. Applications also need to be presented with the theory, with the concept in mind. How does that really happen? That is what we're going to focus on in the class. So my classes are not going to be me solving question after question after question on the board. No, that you can do yourself also, actually. So I'm going to tell you the concept behind it and how, what is the examiner expecting you to write in that answer. He may just say solve this. It may be a very simple question like solve this differential equation. But to recognize what that differential equation is, what is the procedure, what is the logic of applying that procedure, all that when you present in your answer, only then do you get full marks in the exam. Only solving it or only writing down the answer will not help. So we will really be working on accuracy, of course, and presentation. Okay. Let me take up another doubt. Do we get weekly mains question or worksheet for mathematics as well as we get for GS? Okay, so maths, what happens, I didn't get your name, but for maths, what will happen is, so like I said, you will be getting handwritten booklets for each of my topics. Okay, now in this, suppose there is this, I'm showing you the first page, so there'll be like a chapter 1. So suppose I say this is my modern algebra booklet, which is 280 pages or something. Okay, so there's chapter 1, and the chapter 1 will be, say, from page number 1 to 30. Okay, page number 29 and 30 will be an assignment, out of which every day in the class I will make you mark how many questions that particular day you should be able to cater to. Okay, together with this, your homework will always be PYQs, but like I said, in some topics we'll be able to jump straight to the PYQs. In some topics you'll have to have 2, 3, 4 days of teaching first, and then so you will get daily homework from the written assignments, which are part of the booklet only. Apart from that, of course, there is PYQs that you have to do regularly and religiously, and we discuss them in the class also, okay? Okay, I didn't get your name, but the question that is being asked is, could you please tell me whether it would be okay for me to take maths as optional, as I have been away from the subject for 2 years? Now, it's said that once you learn how to, say cycle or play a harmonium, you never forget. The same I could say about maths also. If you have a passion for it, and if you think, so right now we have time, right? So between now, today is the 4th of May, and till June. So you have May and June almost. This is the time period where you can assess whether you would like to have maths as your optional or not. For that, like I mentioned, do the basics from any class 12th book. You don't have to have any other like advanced, not even RS Agarwal or any RD Sharma or any college exam. Just go through the basics and see that you still have a knack for it. Are you interested in the subject? 2 months is more than enough time to build up your tools that are going to be required. They'll also help you to make an informed choice. So please empower yourself, note down these topics that you can refer to from anywhere. Source doesn't matter. As basic as you want, but do you have a knack for it? Are you interested in it? Would you like to look at the applications of it? Look at the PYQs and then make an informed decision. If be not clear basics to algebra and other theory topics and how to cover. So Umakant, we are going to work on like literally from, the level that we will begin with is say the formula of a plus b whole square. Now, since it's an online session, otherwise I would have asked you what the formula is and I don't want you to now type it. Everybody sitting here with some level of maths would come up with this answer, that it's a square plus 2ab plus b square. And I feel that, so Divyatej, your answer is also getting answered here. So this is the formula that everybody would, if you were sitting here, you would have shouted, right? Now, my problem is that this is not always true, because a plus b whole square is say a plus b into a plus b. So let's look at the derivation of this formula, okay? How did this come? So, anything square, like if I write down a 2 square, this means 2 into 2. If I write a 3 square, it means 3 into 3. Likewise, a plus b whole square is a plus b into a plus b. Clear? Bear with me for 1 minute, because now this is eye-opener. When you see a plus b with a plus b and you apply distributive law, of course, when you open it up, a gets multiplied with a to give you an a square. A gets multiplied with b to give you an ab. B gets multiplied with a to give you a ba. And b gets multiplied with b to give you a b square. Now, by what logic have people combined ab and ba to give you a 2ab? They have assumed that a into b is always same as b into a. Now, somebody will say, obviously, this is true. 2 into 3 is same as 3 into 2. What is such a big deal? You're right. But nobody said that A and B here are numbers. They could have been matrices. So if I would have asked you, and these are just symbols, I don't have to specifically write them in capitals. I'm just doing it to accentuate it, to basically highlight. A plus B whole squared is not A square plus 2AB plus B square. Because in matrices, we know that product of two matrices does not satisfy commutativity. So the basic level that I begin with is from here. This is algebra. And we take it forward from there. I'm not saying it's as direct as this all the time, but it is interesting, isn't it? A lot of people get foxed in this. That why is the formula not this? It's not that. We begin from there, our discussion, and we take it forward. So it'll be my work to help you clear your basics. You'll have to, of course, work on that at home and everything. And Divyatej, that's exactly what I was trying to say. So online classes, the interaction will be through the chat, and I'm always constantly looking, right? And the thing is, for online students, it also again depends on you. If every day you switch on the camera, you interact with me, there is a portal where you can send me the doubts. We don't even need that. Every day when we meet, when I see you, there are a lot of online students I feel more sort of connected to, even as compared to the offline ones. I know their names because their names all visible. In offline, there are so many students sitting, sometimes we don't even know their names. So it's not so difficult, but it takes two to tango. So I will be doing my bit. I will be reading your doubts and answering them on the board and everything. But you'll have to also be with your cameras on, and don't take it for granted. In today's time, everybody wants to like look at a video later or something, have an interaction. So, yeah. So Durgesh, again, So that senior of yours who said modern algebra is somewhat hard may have found it hard, and I'm quite sure a lot of people would resonate with that. But believe me when I say that modern algebra is called the queen of maths, and not for a small reason. It's called queen of maths because once you do well in modern, your understanding of everything goes up. Um, with my 22 years of experience, I can tell you that not a lot of people will be able to tell you that differential equations also you can write better answers if you know modern algebra. Now I know a lot of people would say, how is that even related? It is. I'll show you how modern algebra, if you do nicely, which we will, it'll help you to make your presentation and everything better. So your whole maths kind of takes a different um, it grows by leaps and bounds if you do modern algebra nicely. So modern algebra does take a lot of time. I give about 25 to 30 classes for modern algebra. As compared to, I'm just giving you a rough comparison, as compared to about 10 to 12 classes for ordinary differential equation. It can be 15, but so the marks that they carry in the exam are same, right? But look at how much I have to put in the effort. So it has to be depending on what the subject is. If anyone takes maths, then I'm going to expect a love for the subject. So calculations and all you can do at home. You don't have to have me in your presence. And I will never be writing everything on the board and you copying. That is the worst way of learning anything. So we will be concentrating on this, okay? We will make sure that we do. I know which topic requires more work, and that is what we're going to help you do, Umakant. Each theorem, how it helps to connect from another, that's my work. That is how I'll show you. You don't have to do 100 theorems. You have to do only 10 theorems, but know from these 10 theorems how 100 theorems can be done on a similar lines. And those 10 theorems also no cramming. Literally, like absolutely no cramming, at least in vector spaces. Absolutely no cramming. That's why it takes sometimes 1 hour to do one theorem. I mean, it's a lot of effort. But that once that 1 hour I have spent, a similar theorem when it comes in the future, my students are supposed to, and they are able to do it themselves. So that's the point. 7:30 to 10:30 a.m. morning. 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. are the timing. It's 10 actually, but then maths gets stretched a bit, and there are sometimes I take doubts and everything. So the time that I require, so 2.5 hours to 3 hours in the class, plus the same time at home. 2.5 to 3 hours at home. So at least 2 to 2.5. Let's write that down. Be realistic in how much, because there are other things that you are doing. 2 to 2.5 hours every day. All right. All right, Umakant, that's. Will you be giving a book list for each topic? Yes. So, Kartika, I'll be giving a book list for sure. There is already a book list up on the Vajiram's website. But that is over and above my booklets and PYQ. So, you have to follow a 3-tier kind of a system. The system is, first you do my booklets thoroughly. Like you have to know them like the back of your hand. Okay, like the back of your hand. Then you have to do PYQs. Then you have to refer to books, especially only in differential equations, and that's only for more practice of your integration. That's it. Once or twice, depending on how my class is going on, I may suggest another book. There's entire book list given in the website, no problem about that. But the thing is, you can't follow so many books, and books are not easy to read. That's why you have to first only concentrate on the booklets. Now, more than enough, then PYQs and then books. And that also, it's a singular book, only one book actually for differential equations. That's it. Right? Is that clear, Kartika? Will you check those answers also, which we solved from other sites or test series? Also, Suman, the thing is that you have to understand this is a 7-month rigorous program, which my work only gets done. That is, so of course, test series, if you're giving from somewhere else, you will expect it to be done from somewhere else also. But if you're attending my classes, I hope that you'll be able to do everything on your own. Right? You can obviously ask doubts, but you don't have to mention that this is from other sites or something. Because 7 months, I'm not going to let you be free. There's a lot of work that we'll be doing in the class only. Okay? No, the booklets are only for the classroom program. They are my way of telling you that you can sit back and only listen so that all your senses can concentrate on understanding the concept rather than writing. So they're only for my classroom program use. They're not for otherwise. So 7 months, honestly, it takes me to finish my curriculum. But UPSC, as I hope everyone knows, is already a minimum 2 year kind of a commitment. So I would say that, a lot of people do get ready, depending on your background and all, that same year. Otherwise, by next year, there's a test series program that you can join, and there'll be guidance at every stage. So first you reach here, there's a time for everything. So when we come to that, we'll discuss it. But it would take us, and see, the good thing about maths is it's a static syllabus. It's not going to change at all. So whatever you're doing is getting ready now. So if you are able to be consistent, and if you don't have other commitments, like a lot of people are doing GS at the same time, and some people are also doing CSAT, and so they're not able to spend so much time at home, then it's a problem. But if you're able to do whatever I ask you to do every day, then you're ready. For me, when I send you off, when you graduate from my program, you are ready for the exam. Of course, some more answer writing skills and all, I would always encourage people to have. Okay, Likita, JEE Advanced has nothing to do with the level of questions that come in the exam for UPSC. UPSC is more like college. So JEE Advanced was class 12th, remember? So you don't need JEE Advanced kind of questions. You, like I said, only need differentiation integration as tools. But the questions that are coming are going to be, and it's not MCQ, it is a subjective paper. So it's totally different, but it is a pretty average level paper. So I've taught in Delhi University for a few years, and the Delhi University paper, the honors papers, a lot of questions are exactly picked up from there. So it's the same level. So I wouldn't say it's very tough, and it's just about average. It's not extremely tough. Is that clear? Let's scroll up to see if there are any other doubts. No? Okay. So if anyone else has any doubt, you can ask me if I've missed upon on something. Right. As far as your last question is concerned, how difficult it is to manage time in the exam? Well, maths papers always are more lengthier, everything, but that's also because one takes the liberty of, okay, even if it's a mistake, I'll take another sheet. But here, like I said, you have to first plan how your answer is going to look like. So it requires a bit of a skill, which we'll try to develop in the class. Okay. Vinay, the difficulty in theory part of maths is not very difficult. It is honors level. And honestly, like I said, if there are approximately 50 theorems that you have to do, say, in vector calculus, we won't be doing all 50. What does that mean? I'll be doing 20 so that the remaining 40 you will be able to do it yourself. So when I do a theorem, I take 1 hour to do one theorem. It just, like, with a lot of effort, I make people do it themselves. The answers have to come from you, and then we do it. So we do it so thoroughly that you're able to do it. Don't worry so much about it. Yes, definitely. BSc Maths Honors is an engineering background. These are the two set criteria people that we have in my class. Vinay, the epsilon theorems. Well, epsilon is something that worries a lot of people, including me, if I were to be honest, in my first year of college. Epsilon looked like a epsilon and then delta. And so what are these theorems? Now you will know them like the back of your hand once I tell you what this epsilon actually means. Okay, so you come with absolutely no phobia for it, don't have any fears, don't have any inhibitions, so that I can, so give me a rough plain slate to work on, and then I can build upon. A first year student of Delhi University learns epsilon theorems. Okay, a person directly out of class 12, if he or she, a good student, can master it at that level, then I'm sure all of you definitely are more hardworking and more capable. It's just that the correct guidance is required. And at the cost of not sounding so modest, but I've had my share of good teachers and also very bad teachers. So I know the difference that it can make in your maths optional to have someone who can guide you correctly. Nobody can guarantee you which theorem is coming. But if I can empower you to do any theorem on your own, well, that is what I am here for, right? So I hope. Yes, Likita. So the final answer in applied questions has to be correct. Otherwise, you don't get any marks for steps. And when people ask me, is there any marks for steps? If you write one direct thing and there are no steps, the examiner is not going to go out of the way to look for steps. So you have to learn how to write in steps. So step number 1, we actually write step number 1 like that, step number 2 like this, and so on. So that even if in your answer, final answer is wrong, but the examiner sees that your approach is fine and your overall presentation is fine, like you haven't made an error right here, and this is some stupid error that you've made here, then you might still get some marks. So accuracy is challenging within the limited time of the exam. That's why when you will have my class test, there'll be a limited time and a UPSC format. So you'll have to do it in that particular space, in that particular time. So it'll come by practice. Everyone in your seniors are doing it with practice, right? So yeah, so maths honors, like I said, is something that is definitely a person who's welcome to join. Anyone from engineering background, some amount of maths in college is more than welcome to join. Yeah. Any other doubts anyone has? So don't worry, we will, so apart from accuracy, we will be working on presentations in the class. That is my, I mean, it's literally 50-50. You know, presentation, if you're not able to present what you're writing, examiner is not going to give you marks. So, and people undermine the importance of that, especially in a paper called maths. Like in GS, there's answer writing, but in maths, people feel, oh, we've written the answer, we'll get the marks. That doesn't happen. How is it going to happen is what is going to be playing an integral part in our classes. We're going to really focus on that. So physics part of maths optional is also to be done only from maths point of view. So I will be able to guide you as to why you should not get into the nitty gritties. There'll be like a cheat sheet given to you that, okay, please remember these formulae in physics, like, you know, these 2 pages, remember. Then learn why is it a part of maths optional. Because maths is what is predominant here. No, nobody is interested in, you don't have physics optional, you have physics as a part of maths optional. So don't worry. Again, Avinash, real analysis. So the epsilon delta is a famous phobia. Don't worry, we will be looking into it in detail. I know it doesn't, but Vinay, that doesn't matter because Delhi University is not the student community that is represented here in UPSC. No, so there are people from all over the country. So some people have not done LPP ever. Some people have not done physics ever, like you, or some people have done physics but have not done modern algebra. So many students who have not done modern algebra before. For me, it will not matter because I will not be asking you what you know, what you do. I will, like I said, start from scratch and take you to the level that's required. But of course, whatever extra is required, every day we'll be telling you what is required for the next day or for the coming week. There are announcements made that in 10 days from now, I'm starting with this. You better have a formula sheet ready and so on. So Avinash, I hope real analysis will become one of your favorites after doing it nicely and properly. And same with modern algebra, like that, okay? Any other doubts anyone has? Can we get full marks in optional maths? Well, it's not a semester exam. Please remember that. And UPSC is one of the toughest exams that you're preparing for. It's next to impossible to do that because examiner is also, what he's doing now is, like I said, question number 1 has 5 parts, you know. Usually he'll always make question number 1A something a little offset, something that people have not seen. It's not difficult, but you've not seen it. And there's no time to think. So honestly speaking, your target has to be 300 plus. And if you hope to get full marks, then with whatever, it's not transparent, it's not, and you don't know what mistakes you have done. I get students all the time saying that, oh, I've done this question correctly, I'm very sure of the marks and everything. But when I ask them to do them again, they've made an error. So try and target a 300 plus. Course is starting on the 25th of June. This is when we begin. And like I said, 7:30 to 10:30 is the timings for it. Okay. Any other doubts anyone has? All right, so I hope I have answered majority of your doubts. And if there's anything else that you would want to ask, you have time right now. The course, like I would like to reiterate once more, would require a dedication from you. I would want you to be extremely dedicated, punctual, disciplined. These are the characteristics that you would require any which ways for UPSC, but maybe a little bit more for maths, you know. Yes, absolutely. 3 hours of practice with 2.5 hours of class is more than enough, but it depends on if you're doing it regularly and religiously. There cannot be days in between when you're not working because the backlog will be so much you're not able to catch up, right? So no, Lakshmi, one tries to, but sometimes what happens, question number 2, you know A part completely, B part completely, but C you don't know. So in maths, if there's a question, say on asymptotes, and one doesn't know the formula of asymptotes, and there's no way you're attempting this question. You can't just write down anything in that, you know. So yes, maths optional is available online also for sure. Please check the website. 375 has been the highest in maths optional till now. 7 months, like I said, it'll take. Yeah. So, Sai, let me reiterate the point again. Try and target a 300 plus. So, what is the actual way of doing the paper? When I give you practice tests, you will know it. But you try and get a 300. Even if there is a scaling, everyone gets those less, no? But you are not trying to just be a borderline person who's going to get just borderline marks. We're trying to get as many marks as possible. So don't worry so much about it. See, the thing is, what matters most is that are you interested in the subject. Maths is not a subject which caters to everybody. Okay, there are only those people who are sitting here who have some sort of a passion, some sort of an inclination towards the subject. Don't let that be clouded by anybody else's judgment. There have been toppers from maths, like there have been from other options. So let's try and target about getting the highest instead of something else. Okay. Avinash, there is nothing called learning the theorems. There is something called doing the theorems, which we do in the class. There is hardly any learning. 10% you have to remember, but that is more like formula and everything. Yes, recording will be available. However, I would really urge you to join my classes if you are willing to participate and have a one-on-one interaction, even if it's online. Offline, of course, I will really urge the students to always be present. But please be present online also, so that I know who you are, what you're doing, I can guide you. So it'll always be better. But of course, with the changing times, recording is definitely available. All right. So it doesn't matter, but let's now hope to see you in the batch and take it forward from there. Well, and any other, so anytime even in the classes and all, we have discussions over how we can tailor-made our performance and everything. So then, right. Any other doubts anyone has about the curriculum or the course? Okay. Then I think I'll take your leave and call it a day. Make an informed decision, and I hope to see some of you or all of you in the classes when we begin. Thank you. Don't worry, when I will be working on yours. So mental grit is something that maths people will have. Logical abilities help you to become more determined. So don't worry. We'll be there to handle all the problems in the class. Since you'll have a one-on-one doubt sessions and tutorials with me more regularly, about 2.5 to 3 hours every day you'll have to study. Okay. There is no calculation of a success rate, but maths is a very good subject for someone who really likes the subject, someone who has the passion for it. And if I might just say so, since it doesn't have any overlap with the GS, it gives you a break from GS actually, you know. So I'm sure only people who are attending this would know what I'm trying to talk about. Now there's no remembering, there is sitting down, focusing, solving. There are different kind of topics in maths. There is a topic when your mind is not working, what kind of questions should you do? When your mind is really alert, what kind of questions should you do? When you're bored, what kind of questions should you do? What is mechanical here, what requires more brain? So I'll be helping you demarcate the syllabus also like that, so that you'll have a good idea as to how to demarcate your topics to study, okay? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope this session was as amazing as we promised. I would take a minute to appreciate ma'am today, how she really inspires me. I've been watching ma'am's teaching videos for hours, and I don't even have mathematics as my optional subject. So yeah, consider me a fan. So for those students who are interested in taking mathematics as their optional subject, now we are coming with a optional program for you. Let me share the details of that program with you. Just give me a minute. Okay. A mathematics optional program is starting from 25th of June, and the duration for this course will be 30 weeks. The class timing would be 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Make sure you know all the details about it. Now, for those students who are interested in enrolling, please make sure you do register from the link provided in the comment section. Our counselors will get back to you and answer all of your queries. So make sure you make an informed and confident decision of choosing mathematics as your optional subject. We'll be back with amazing another sessions like these. Until then, you have to keep studying. Thank you so much.